Hey, multifamily investors, Brandon here with my buddy Christian with Multifamily Strategy, and wanted to touch base on looking beyond the numbers. I've had a lot of clients, Christian, that come in and they share a deal and like, hey, Brandon, will you look at these numbers and tell me if it looks good? I'm like, yeah, it looks good, but what else can you tell me about the area? And they're like, well, we're not sure. Well, what can you tell me about the city? Well, we're not sure. What can you tell me about landlord-tenant laws? Well, we're not sure, but it looks great on paper. And look at this return. Look at the cash on cash. It's double digits. Like, okay, step back, step away from the analysis for a minute, right? And do your a little bit of investigative research, right? We need to open up our scope of vision, look beyond the numbers, and understand like who are the employers, what are local landlord tenant laws like, what's the city council like for that area, are there new ordinances being enacted because of COVID? I can speak personally to Western Washington, Christian, that like in Seattle and now Federal Way are the top two toughest cities to be landlords in, and that's why you're staying out of those, right?
Yeah, we have one Seattle property, and the numbers phenomenal, and we made a lot of money on the property as far as actual value. We haven't taken money out of it, but appreciation is worth more than we bought it for day one, and then it's appreciated since then. That being said, it's almost impossible to lease when people move out, and the city restrictions are just a pain. They don't agree with each other, so I get conflicting things from different politicians. We made a bunch of money on the deal, and I still wish I didn't buy that deal.
So where are you at now? And most people already probably know, but what's the main area you're investing in right now?
We're mostly invested in Central Washington, heavily in Moses Lake, where the employers are a lot of data centers. Boeing does manufacturing out there. You have actually a really great base of small businesses that are based out there, especially post-COVID. A lot of people just moved out there. So you have a really diverse community of businesses, and then it has a backbone of a lot of agriculture that's been around forever. What I love about it is there's not just one job class. You have a whole bunch of things that are considered very, very stable.
Economic diversification.
Yep.
Call it, yep.
Exactly. You're diversified and the diversity is stable. We went really heavy in that market. We did very, very well, especially in recession, while more variable markets pull back or certain industries can pull way back. When you're diversified like that and you have a strong base, you tend to just be able to ride it out just fine, which is where we find ourselves today.
So why do you think people still invest in Seattle, right?
Man, I couldn't tell you. I won't do it again. King County is out for me.
Yeah, I will say, I know why. Because a lot of them, it's a level of risk, right? If they're dealing with A-class properties and they're renting this Amazon software techs at $3,200 a month, the likelihood they're going to have a squatter issue of some kind, is probably unlikely. And we still have strong jobs, strong rent growth before the last few months, strong appreciation. We do have that in the Pacific Northwest, strong economic diversification. So I do know, people like they're still bullish on Seattle, the A-class properties, and they know that their level of risk is probably minimal compared to C-class stuff, within the city.
Yeah, I guess my thing with that stability though is like, what if Seattle is finally successful in chasing out all their large businesses? What if they actually Amazon's pulling its way over to Bellevue. They're not doing anything else in Seattle, and they're migrating over. You keep pushing all your businesses out. I mean, is that stability that lasts for decades, or is that...
You and I are on the same page. I won't do it either, but again, thankfully, we all don't want the same thing. It's already competitive enough, is what I tell people, right? It's good that other people want to invest in other areas. So my recommendations are to also look into local rental housing associations. We have a great one here in Washington called the Rental Housing Association of Washington, and they are very, very in tune with local ordinances changing, laws, and things like that, and a very good resource if you're a smaller investor like myself or mom and pop or anything else. And your PM should be good too. If you're vetting PMs, they should know local landlord tenant laws. Those are good resources for you as well. We have one together that's also a good resource for people in Western Washington. So other than that, I just want people to kind of not get so focused on the financial, because there's a bigger part of that to properties when it comes to demographics and jobs and everything else and laws. So keep that in mind. Hopefully that will help you analyze things in a different way and consider when you're looking at different markets, especially ones you're not familiar with, and how to look at the bigger picture. So
Yeah, if you're trying to just keep it like an easy thing in your head to remember, it is fairly easy to upgrade a property. You can improve a property. You cannot improve a neighborhood or a city unless you have a lot more capital than I do. If you can buy the whole block, then you can look at it at a neighborhood level. And Cody and I have done that before with our 38plex. It is the neighborhood. So So you can fix that up because the area around it is where all the development's going. So that makes some sense. You have the worst property in the worst neighborhood, but we bought the whole neighborhood.
Clean it up.
Yeah, and it's in a great area. So it's like, okay, that can make sense. But if you're just in a bad area of town where it's very high crime, in a market that's very hard to evict people, well, that's where people really get in trouble, because you see these deals and the numbers just look insane. And the reason is absolutely no one wants to buy that.
High risk.
Yeah. And so if you have these high-risk projects, especially when you're starting, I would steer clear of those, because it is easy to get enticed by the look how much money we could make if this goes right. And I'll just tell you from experience, I've done on smaller properties, when we bought in areas where we compromised on the location, even when we did make money, it was an absolute pain. We could have deployed that same capital somewhere else and done the same project without as much pain. If the area is wrong, just find another deal. There are enough properties out there to buy, I promise you.
If you'd like to learn more what Christian and Cody do, check out their multifamily strategy. It's a great course, very reasonable for the wealth of knowledge you'll learn from that. And if you'd like help from me analyzing deals or anything, or learning more about Western Washington multifamily, just reach out, and thank you for watching.